If you're a marketing consultant or freelancer, you will probably know that sending a proposal to your prospective clients is not the easiest thing in the world. Sure, you can put together like the scope of the project, but really like nailing pricing, being convincing, and structuring it in a way that will help you land the client is not so easy. And unfortunately, there's not so much information out there on what you can do to maximize the chances of landing new customers. That's why I thought I would record this video to show you one example of how I structure things, and I'm hoping it would be helpful. As a side note, I work as a marketing consultant for B2B SaaS companies. However, I try to keep this proposal template as neutral as possible so that it would apply to a lot of different roles, at least within the marketing field, maybe even beyond that. So let's take a look. How I like to structure things is to have basically three parts. One focused on the needs of the company, one focused on the actual proposal, and one that is more like a trust element. In the first step, I focus on the company's current state of things and what they need to achieve their goals. So the goal here is not so much to talk about what you have to offer, but rather create urgency on solving the problem that was discussed in your discovery call. So the company can choose to work on that problem in-house with an agency, with a different freelancer, with a different contractor. But the goal here is to not make it an option to not tackle the problem today. So create urgency, define very clearly what's needed, maybe in a broader way, and then narrow down, hey, this proposal refers to this component of the things that you need to get there. So this is the only purpose of this section. And I think it's very important because if you jump straight into describing the project, well, really it's easy to think, hey, maybe we don't need this now, or yeah, to just not have that sense of urgency to take action today. So we need this section to do that. This second section is the one that actually describes your offer. What I like to do is to give more than one option to choose from, and I'll tell you why this is very important. Generally, when it comes to describing the offer, you'll have to cover the main deliverables, the timeline, communication, how you would align with the customer, what's included, what's not included, and obviously the budget. Now, the reason for giving more than one option is that honestly, when it comes to pricing, it's very difficult to know what the customer is willing to pay and how you should price your services. So you will have an idea of the amount of work that the project entails, but it's still hard to narrow down exactly the intensity of the project. So you can quite effectively de-riskify that by offering multiple options, where in the higher tiers, the budget required is higher, but there is a higher intensity or a speedier delivery or simply more deliverables. So the scope of the project is broader. And this helps you de-riskify getting pricing wrong, and it helps the customer being able to choose the tier or the offer that is most in line with their expectations. I also like to include a little extra, maybe in one of the plans or maybe in all of the plans, that might communicate to the customer they're really willing to tailor this offering to their needs. So that could be an additional review call, it could be an additional consultation after the project has been completed, or things like that. Not super important, but I think it's something that helps, and I like to do that. The last section, this is kind of optional, but if you have previous work that was very similar to what you're offering now, it's definitely a good idea to include examples of that. So not just like logos of companies, because that doesn't really say much, but rather describing either the project. So I have done, something similar with company X, and these were the outcomes, or, this project was delivered in 2 weeks, or whatever that may be, that helps creating trust, tells the client, oh, this person has done this a bunch of times before successfully for these companies. I have the examples here. So you communicate that this is not like something you're venturing in, but it's really something you have a track record on. So again, this is optional and it's not possible every single time. But when you have that kind of like social proof, definitely it's something that I would include. You can also think of other trust elements that are a little bit more generic, but if they're specific to what the proposal is about, that's the ideal scenario. So this template is what I use for most of my clients. I usually work on a monthly retainer basis, so it looks the same except for the service options being monthly retainer. And I hope you found this helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any feedback, how you currently do this, and anything else that might be helpful to others. Thank you.